Hey, this is Doug with Artfully Rogue, and in this video I'm going to show you how to hang one of my single sliding rolling doors. Behind me, this is one of the doors that I make, and it rolls on these two hangers. It's a fairly simple installation, but keep in mind there are many manufacturers out there that also make sliding doors, and they have their own specific set of instructions to hang their doors. So this video is specific to the doors made in my shop. And if I'm making this door for you, it's custom for you. But all of the installations are relatively the same. So let's get started. For this video, we're going to use a typical situation in a residential home where there are wood studs. So if you look at your wall, the layer that is on top and what you typically see is the drywall. Underneath here are the wood studs. Now I'm going to take this drywall off so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, as you can see, this is now down to the studs. This is a typical construction inside a residential home, where you're going to have two 2x4s running on each side of that door opening. All right. You're also going to have two 2x4s, possibly a couple of 2x6s running up top. Now this is what's known as the header. When I speak to you about installing your track in the header, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm talking about going into this double stack of wood here that is typically over your door opening. Now if you're lucky enough to be in a remodel or you're building this wall fresh, the perfect scenario is to have this header extend all the way out on both sides if you're doing a double sliding barn door, because then you don't have to worry about finding the studs where you put the track in. Now the doors that I'm going to be hanging are going to a client that is in the process of building the wall. That means they have the luxury of putting in blocks and carrying on that header. I'm going to go ahead and do that to this wall so you can see what I'm talking about. Poof! Look at that. Through the magic of video. Now I've been able to extend my header all the way from one side to the other just by putting in extra blocks. Now I don't have to worry about where my studs are when I put up my track. Makes it that much more simple. Some of you may not be this fortunate, but don't despair. There's another idea for you. Okay, so here we are. We're back to square one. We have our drywall on, we know that our studs are behind there. You and I know that we've actually got header blocking going from left to the right the entire distance. But again, for those of you who do not have the capability of taking off your drywall, or you're not building a wall, and you have to go with something that's existing, run to your local hardware store, and if you don't already have one, buy yourself a stud finder. All right, for probably about $5 to $10, you can find yourself a stud finder. What it is, it's a little device that you run along the wall. And as it finds where that stud is, it will beep and light, and you can find out exactly where those studs are. Now typically inside a residential home, studs are on every 16 inches. So when you look at a tape measure, and I'll get this a little closer, starting at the end and you go over to 16 inches, there's a little red square. Now every 16 inches there will be a mark, and that's designed so when people are building homes and are building out those walls, you know exactly where to put those studs. Now on occasions they'll go every 24 inches. That's why it's important to have a stud finder. When you put these tracks onto the wall, you want to make sure that that lag bolt that I give you goes through the track, through the spacers, and into a stud. If it goes just into the drywall, it's going to rip that wall right apart. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to start to measure and put up our track. Okay, so once you've decided where you're going to hang your door, you need to find the center of your door opening. Now you want to measure from the inside of the opening to the inside of the opening. Take a measurement, find your center, and then mark that center. Now I've already measured the opening, so I know exactly where my center is here. And I'm using this Sharpie so that you can see this, but I would recommend using a pencil and actually make smaller marks on your wall so they don't show up as much. All right, that's my center of my door opening. The next thing you want to do is measure your door width and find the center of that. Okay, so now that you found the center of your door opening, like I mentioned, find the center of your door itself. The door that we're hanging today is 38 inches wide. So I want to mark from my center of my door opening 19 inches over, and this is going to be the edge of my door. And the edge of the door equals the edge of my track. Now from the edge of the track, I want you to mark in, back towards the center, 2.5 inches. That's going to be the position of your first lag that supports your track into the wall. Okay, so next I want you to measure the height of your door. This door that we're hanging is 82 inches high, from the bottom of the door to the top of the door. Add 2 inches. So our measurement from the floor becomes 84 inches to this point right here. That's the position of your first lag bolt. Okay, so now you've got the mark where your first lag is going to go for the beginning of your track, right? Take your drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit or less, and you want to put a hole right there at that X. Now you want to open the bag that has lag screws and open the bag that says spacers and get those items out. The track that you're going to receive is going to be a flat piece of 2-inch steel that's going to have an angle stop on it. Now this is where your door stops. Take your lag, go into the first hole, take your spacers, put those over the lag. So it looks very similar to this. Lag, spacers, bolt, and thread it into the hole. 9/16 wrench, crescent wrench, whatever's going to make it easy for you. Don't tighten this all the way down, because you want to run your track in the direction you want your door to travel, and then put the next set of lags in first. Okay, so now you want to take your track and lift it up into position. Take a level. Lay that across the top of your track and make sure that you level your track out. If you've never used a level before, make sure that little bubble is in between the two lines. Now in your kit, I gave you a small dowel rod with a point. Use that simply to mark the holes. So you're going to put the dowel rod through the holes. And do that for the entire length of the track. Now you want to drill those pilot holes to set your track in place. Okay, so you've leveled your track out, you put your pilot holes into the track. Now you just want to make sure that your track is nice and tight. Because now we're going to get to the point where we hang the door. Now this is the cool part. Okay, so your track is now installed on the wall. The lags have gone into the studs in the wall, so you know that it's nice and secure. Now it's time to hang the doors. You should receive your doors with the hangers already on. Now those are the pieces that actually have the wheels attached to them. To put your doors onto the track, you want to stand out, probably about 8 inches, maybe 10 inches. Lift them up slightly and lean them towards the track so you have a bit of an incline. Lift and drop onto the track. And then they should sit back and forth, and then test that they roll smoothly alongside your track to make sure that there isn't any interference. Now your doors, I'll test here in the shop to make sure that I don't have any problems when I install them on the track, so that I know when you get them, everything should be fine. The next thing I need to do is actually install the door guide, because right now they can swing back and forth. So to install the door guide, you'll take the hardware that I've given you and you're going to install that against the wall so that the door has something to ride within. Let's take a look at that. So with your door flush with the inside of the door opening, you want to take the bag that's marked door guide and you want to pull out the door guide that comes in your package. This door guide is going to sit right within an inch of the edge of your door. Now push your door back so that you can get to the screws. Now you may need to undo your door stop in order to do that. Now I've pre-drilled these holes. But once you have your door guide on, bring your door back into place, reinstall your door stops, and now your door will not be able to swing out